You might not like it. Why I've taken the decision to stand for the deputy leadership of my party. And I know from seeing some friendly faces here, I know that some of you have already said that you're supporting me in that endeavour. I expect there's other people here as well, and you're welcome just to find out why on earth I have the timidity to put myself forward with such a wonderful array of candidates already in the frame. And I do think we live in extremely interesting times. We have had more political change in our country in 2 years than we've had in the previous 3 decades. We've had an unprecedented amount of realignment happening in terms of the political sphere. And the main agent for change, I believe, has been the 2011 to 2014 Scottish referendum campaign. That was what brought me back into politics after spending 12 years building up my own business. And the reason being was that when we asked people, should Scotland be an independent country, that provoked so many other questions. Well, maybe, what sort of country would it be? Who would be in charge? Who would run this? Who would benefit? Who would lose? All of these questions we had to answer during the referendum campaign, and those who espoused the view of Scottish independence invariably came up with answers that says we want this to be a more fair, egalitarian, just, tolerant, inclusive society than the one that we have now. And at the same time, many people who were suspicious of that movement in the Labour tradition began to understand that far from being some sort of distraction from what they believed in, actually the campaign for independence could be the midwife to achieve and bring to life those ambitions that they have always harboured. And the opposition in what I believe we're supposed to call Ruth Davidson's Conservatives, the opposition now in Scotland is avowedly right-wing and anti-independence. So this overlap, this cleavage is very, very stark now between the progressives in our country who want to move to self-government and the reactionaries who want to keep things the same. And the great thing about that, in my view, is that that cleavage in Scottish society allows us the best possibility of constructing a majority behind what we believe in, because I think the vast majority of people would fall on our side of that particular line. I have a slight concern at some of the things that I've heard said about, particularly post-Brexit, about the new opportunities, the new perspectives on Scottish independence. I hear people saying, well, this gives Scotland the opportunity to be an international tax haven for multinationals. This is our path to independence now, this neoliberalism that may come to pass. And I say to you it's a legitimate point of view, but I think it's a mistake. Because building a majority involves two things. It involves the breadth of your proposition. You need to form a wide alliance behind getting an actual majority. But it also requires the depth of the proposition. You have to be able to motivate the people who support you to turn out. And if you look, particularly in the areas that voted yes last time, the Dundee and the Glasgow areas, the turnout there was better than it ever had been before, but it was still not anything to write home about. There were still 30, and in some seats 40% of those communities who had everything to gain by taking control of our own lives, who did not turn out and vote for independence. And I believe that our main task the next time this comes around should be to energise and motivate those communities and make them turn out seeing independence as a process for change. This is not a question of setting new members against old, of setting the traditional SNP against a new SNP, far from it. This is a matter of synthesising new and old into a formidable new political hybrid and bringing in all wings of our movement, all of the elements of our party into a new powerful force. That's what I believe it to be. And I think we have a job of introspection to do, asking ourselves, is the rulebook we last looked at 10 years ago, before we ever had an elected government and when we had 20% of the members we have now, is that adequate to service a party which is now grown so big and has so much support in the community? And I don't think it has. I think there are things that need to be changed. I'm hesitant to be prescriptive about what those changes should be, because for me the most important thing is that people are engaged in them and they feel that they're contributing to what those solutions are. But I want to throw out some areas that we need to look at. I think we need to look at our branch structure, which is our basic unit of organisation. going to attend your monthly branch meeting should be an experience of joy. It should be something you leave feeling energized. It should make you happy, not sad. And I fear, I can tell from your reaction, I fear you probably agree with me that we need to try and shift the whole focus of our basic units of organisation towards political discussion and ideas and their application and how people can organise together in localities and linking up with others to achieve change. That to me is a more exciting agenda than hearing the reports from various bodies from extremely worthy representatives. So I think it is ridiculous that an organisation of this size has got one guy in HQ trying to organise it. Just ridiculous. And we need to spend rather less of our money on foam fingers and big rallies and all the rest of it, and more on building a professional staff of organisers, both a team at HQ, but most importantly, a team of organisers in the 8 regions of our country who can provide coordination and backup to our branch activity, who can run member training programs, who can coordinate our elected representatives, all our MSPs, our MPs, our councillors, to provide team SNP in each locality where people can see what is happening and be able to get involved in it now. And there's another job to do now, and actually the policy job, which I'm incredibly interested in, the policy job that needs to be done is to overhaul how we make policy in this party. We can't go on with a situation where 200 branches send 200 resolutions into a committee that has to rule 90% of them out of order because if for no other reason there isn't time to discuss them. That, my friends, is so last century, to coin a phrase, that we need to get beyond it. And we need a rolling policy programme that involves people at branch, regional and national level, with commissions set up to try and encourage it and foment it so that when we do get to our delegate-based conference and take decisions on policy, we actually have a worked-out proposal in front of us. But what has happened in the last month has brought this back on the agenda, and it means that we need to be in a position, with time measured in months, not years, we need to be in a position to provide the organisational backbone to a new yes movement. And that means that we need to be able to be a sleek and efficient machine ourselves, but we also need a perspective starting this summer of reaching out again to those people who are not in the SNP and asking them how they want to organise this next campaign and how they want to be involved. I'm not suggesting that we launch Yes 2 or the second referendum campaign right now, by the way. I think the phase we're in now is get the motor running but don't put it in gear. It's a matter of beginning to prime ourselves and get ready. Because you never know, Theresa May do a deal and she may say, actually, Scotland will have a federal solution and the Scottish Government can make its own deal with the European Union and everything's going to be happy ever after. But I don't think any of us see that as a realistic possibility. But we do need to go through that process and it will happen. So the more organisation we do now, the more discussion and planning that we have now, the better shape we'll be in to move fast when the firing pistol is eventually fired. So, and that is why I want to be deputy leader, because I want to be crucially involved, not just in this introspective development process of our party as an organisation, but in its refocusing outwards to communities at local and national level, and beginning the dialogue that will lead us to a Yes 2 campaign and to a victory in a second independence referendum. I mean, whatever this there will be political differences between the candidates, but I really believe this is not a political contest. This is not a policy-based contest. We don't make policy by electing deputy leaders. We make policy through our conference and all sorts of other ways. I think this is more likely to be a contest between what you want done and how to do it, rather than policy. And therefore, the discussion and the decision, as much as anything else, will not be about who should do the job, but about what job needs to be done. And in that context, why I'm standing to be a member of a team. I'm not standing against anyone. I'm standing against people, but I'm not standing for against them because I disagree with them politically or anything else. I'm standing because I think I can do a job and I can join a team. A team, by the way, which already comprises some of the other candidates. And I would make I'll say this as gently as I possibly can. We're not such a small organisation or have such a dearth of talent within our ranks that we need people to double up on jobs. So if there are people who've already got a senior job that they're doing very well and which needs to be continued to be done, I don't see how they can continue to do that and devote the time and energy that I believe is necessary to make the role of Depute a successful one. Now, other people will say that won't be a problem because they disagree with what needs to be done, and that's fine too. But from my perspective, I'm standing because I want to make this my main job, and I want to spend my time when I'm not doing casework or voting against the Tories in Parliament. I want to spend time doing this and applying myself to this job. And if you are able to support me in that endeavour, you will be welcome in this fantastic journey along the way. I promise you, whatever else is going to happen, it's not going to be like the Tories where they have carved out every candidate bar one and denied the members an opportunity, nor is it going to be like the Labour Party where they've got a lot of candidates for a position that's not even vacant. We will have a lot of fun, a lot of discussion along this way, and we will collectively get ourselves a brilliant deputy leader. Thank you.